The Buddhist way to be alone without feeling lonely. There is a particular kind of restlessness that arrives when we are alone, not the restlessness of having too much to do. This is different. This is the mind that cannot settle, that reaches for the phone, then puts it down, that opens the refrigerator without hunger, that starts a task and abandons it halfway through. The room is quiet, but the mind is loud. You might notice this restlessness most in the evening when the day's momentum fades, or on a Sunday afternoon when everyone else seems to be somewhere, doing something with someone. The silence of the room becomes uncomfortable. The absence of voices feels like a weight, and beneath the restlessness, if you look closely, there is often a quiet ache, a sense that something is missing, that you should be somewhere else or someone else should be here. This is loneliness. Not the loneliness of isolation necessarily. You can feel it in a crowded room. You can feel it while scrolling through 100 faces on a screen. It is the sense of being separate, cut off, unseen. The usual response is to fill the space, to reach outward, to find noise, distraction, company, anything to cover the feeling. But there is another way. The Buddha spoke often about solitude, not as a punishment or a withdrawal from life, but as a doorway. In the early teachings, he described the mind like a river. When the surface is disturbed by wind and current, you cannot see to the bottom. The water is murky, agitated. But when the river is still, you can see clearly all the way down. Loneliness is the disturbance on the surface. Solitude is the stillness beneath. The difference is not in whether you are alone. The difference is in how you meet the experience of being alone. Right now, wherever you are, you can begin simply by noticing that you are breathing. You do not need to change the breath. You do not need to make it deeper or slower. Just notice that it is happening. Air moving in, air moving out. The body breathing itself without your effort. This is the first step in meeting aloneness without resistance. You turn your attention toward what is actually here, rather than what is missing. Feel the weight of your body where it rests, the pressure of the chair or the bed beneath you, the pull of gravity, the temperature of the air on your skin. These are not dramatic sensations. They are quiet and ordinary. But they are real. They are present. And as you notice these things, you may begin to sense something. You are not separate from this moment. You are not outside of it, looking in. You are woven into it. The breath, the body, the sounds in the room, the light, the stillness. All of it is happening together, right here. The river begins to settle. Loneliness arises when we believe we are fundamentally separate. When the mind tells the story that I am here, isolated, and everything else is out there, distant, this sense of separation feels very real. It can be painful, but it is also a construction, a habit of perception. The Buddha taught that this sense of a separate, solid self is not what it appears to be. When you look closely at your experience, you do not find a fixed, independent I. You find a flow, sensations arising and passing, thoughts appearing and dissolving, feelings coming and going like weather. The river does not belong to anyone. It simply flows. When you sit quietly and observe your experience without grasping, you begin to notice this flow. A sound arises in the room, perhaps the hum of a refrigerator or a car passing outside. The sound does not ask for permission. It simply appears in awareness. Then it fades. A thought arises. I should be doing something. The thought has a texture, a tone. You can notice it the same way you notice the sound. It appears, it moves through, it dissolves. You are not manufacturing any of this. You are simply present for it. This is the practice, not to eliminate loneliness by force, not to replace it with something better, but to see it clearly, to meet it with the same gentle attention you bring to the breath. When loneliness arises, it often brings a story with it. The mind says, no one understands me, or I will always be alone, or something is wrong with me. These thoughts feel true. They feel urgent. But they are also just thoughts. Patterns the mind has learned to repeat. You can notice them without believing them. You can let them move through the river without being swept away. And in that noticing, something shifts. The ache does not disappear immediately, but it is no longer the whole sky. It is one cloud among many. And you are the sky itself, vast, open, able to hold it all. This is where the practice begins, not in escaping aloneness, but in learning to rest inside it, to meet it with curiosity instead of fear, to discover that solitude, when met with awareness, is not empty, it is full. Chapter 01. Chapter 1. The room you're already in. You wake in the middle of the night. The house is quiet. No one is coming. No message is waiting. The silence sits on your chest like a weight you didn't ask for. This is the moment we learn to fear. Not the silence itself, but what we think it means about us. We tell ourselves stories in the dark, that we have been left behind, that something is wrong with our life, that other people have found the secret to never being alone, and we missed it somehow. The mind does this. It turns a simple fact, you are by yourself right now, into evidence of failure. But solitude is not a verdict. It is just a room you are already in. The Buddha once said that better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. He was not talking about what other people say to you. He was pointing to the quality of your own attention, to what you bring into the room with you. When you are alone and the mind begins its familiar spiral, you have a choice, not between being alone or not alone. That is already decided. The choice is what you do with your attention while you are here. You can let the mind churn, or you can notice that it is churning. Think of a still pond. When no one stirs the water, it reflects the sky exactly as it is. Trees, clouds, the shape of the light. But if you keep throwing stones, the surface breaks into fragments. The reflection scatters. The pond is still there. The sky is still there. But you cannot see clearly. Your mind is like this. When you are alone, the first reflex is to stir the water, to reach for the phone, to fill the silence with noise or distraction or the voice of someone else. Anything to avoid the stillness. But the stillness is not the problem. The problem is that we have learned to interpret stillness as abandonment. We have confused the absence of other people with the absence of worth. This is not true. But the mind believes it anyway. So we brace, we clench against the quiet. We make the aloneness mean something it does not mean, and in doing so, we create loneliness. Loneliness is not the same as being alone. Being alone is a fact. You are in a room, no one else is here. That is all. Loneliness is what happens when you argue with that fact, when you tell yourself it should be different, when you layer story after story on top of the simple truth of the moment. The teaching is not to stop being alone. The teaching is to stop fighting it. Here is a small practice. Sit for 3 minutes. You do not need a cushion or a special place. Just sit where you are. Notice your breath. Not to change it, just to feel it moving in and out. Now notice the room around you, the temperature of the air, the weight of your body on the chair or the floor, the sounds that are here or the absence of sound. You are alone right now. That is true. Now ask yourself, what is the difference between this moment and loneliness? Not the idea of loneliness, the actual feeling. When you stop adding the story, when you stop insisting that this should not be happening, what is left? Just breath, just body, just the room. The loneliness lives in the story. The solitude is just what is. You do not have to love being alone. You do not have to prefer it. You only have to stop treating it like punishment. The pond does not ask to be still. It simply is. And when the water is left alone, the reflection appears by itself. You are already in the room, you have always been in the room. The question is whether you will let yourself be here without turning it into something it is not. Chapter 02, Chapter 2, What Loneliness Actually Feels Like. We say we feel lonely. But what does that mean in the body? Most of us never look directly. We know the word. We know the story that comes with it. But the actual sensations, the tightness, the weight, the hollow space, we turn away before we can name them. This turning away is natural. Loneliness feels like something wrong with us. So we reach for the phone, we scroll, we plan. We fill the silence with noise, anything but the feeling itself. But there is another way. In the early Buddhist teachings there is a simple instruction: name the feeling, watch it arise, watch it pass, not to fix it, not to make it mean something, just to see it clearly. When you look at loneliness this way, something shifts. It stops being a problem with your life and becomes a visitor in the body. Temporary, changing, made of smaller parts. Think of a wave. From the shore, it looks solid. It looks like one thing moving toward you with force and weight. But when you wade into the water, the wave dissolves. It is not one thing. It is current and temperature and foam. It is movement that never holds still. Loneliness is like this. From a distance, it feels enormous. It feels like the truth about you. But when you turn toward it with attention, it breaks into pieces. A tightness in the throat, a heaviness in the chest, a pulling sensation behind the eyes, a coolness in the hands. These are not loneliness, these are sensations. And sensations change. Here is the practice. The next time loneliness arises, do not turn away. Do not pick up the phone. Do not try to think your way out of it. Instead, place one hand on your chest. Feel the warmth of your palm. Feel the rise and fall of breath beneath it. Then name 3 physical sensations. Not thoughts, not stories, just what you feel in the body. You might notice tightness across the ribs. You might notice a dull ache near the heart. You might notice a flutter in the belly or a heaviness in the shoulders. Name them quietly. Tightness, ache, heaviness. Stay with them for 3 breaths. Do not try to change them. Do not push them away. Just let them be what they are. Sensations arising in a body. What happens next may surprise you. The sensations do not stay the same. The tightness softens. The ache moves. The heaviness shifts or fades. Not because you fixed anything, because that is what sensations do. They change. And when they change, the story changes too. Loneliness stops feeling like a fact. It starts feeling like weather. Something that moves through. Something that does not define the sky. This is not a trick. This is seeing clearly. You are not lonely. You are experiencing sensations that you have learned to call loneliness. And when you stop believing the label, the sensations lose their weight. They become just what they are. Tightness, ache, coolness, heaviness, visitors in the body, arising, passing. You do not need to be afraid of them. You do not need to make them go away. You only need to see them as they are. Place your hand on your chest. Name 3 sensations. Stay for 3 breaths. This is enough. Chapter 03, Chapter 3, The Craving Beneath the Ache. You sit down with your tea. The house is quiet. And immediately the mind begins searching. Not for anything in particular at first, just a restless movement, a reaching. You check your phone. You think about texting someone. You remember a conversation from years ago and wonder what that person is doing now. The loneliness isn't just the absence of others. It's this constant motion towards something that isn't here. The Buddha called this craving, not desire in the simple sense, not wanting a sandwich when you're hungry, but a deeper pull, a grasping that believes the next thing, the next person, the next moment will finally settle the ache. Craving is the root, he said. See the root and it loosens. This isn't philosophy, it's something you can observe directly. Think of a hand opening the empty cupboard. You know it's empty. You saw it was empty 5 minutes ago. But the hand opens it again anyway. Some part of you still hopes the contents have changed. That's what the mind does with loneliness. It opens the same door, reaches for the same memory, scrolls through the same names, hoping this time will be different. The reaching itself becomes the problem. Not because reaching is wrong, but because it never lands. It can't. It's looking for something that isn't in the cupboard, isn't in the phone, isn't in the past. You can sit with this, right now if you like. Just notice, what am I reaching for right now? Not as an accusation, just as a question, a gentle noticing. Maybe you're reaching for a feeling, the warmth of being understood, the ease of being wanted, the comfort of not having to carry yourself alone. Maybe you're reaching for a person, someone specific, or just anyone, a voice that would fill the silence. Maybe you're reaching for a version of yourself, the one who wasn't lonely, the one who had plans on Friday night, the one who belonged somewhere without trying. You don't have to stop the reaching. You can't force it to stop, but you can see it. And seeing changes things. When you notice the hand moving toward the cupboard, something shifts. The movement becomes visible. The automaticity breaks. You see the pattern repeating itself. This is what the teaching points to. Craving loses its grip, not because you fight it, but because you see it clearly. You see the reaching. You see that it's reaching. You see that it keeps reaching even when nothing is there. And in that seeing, there's a small gap. A moment where the mind doesn't have to follow the same path. You might still feel the pull. That's fine. The pull doesn't have to disappear. But you're not entirely caught in it anymore. You're sitting in the room. The tea is warm in your hands. The breath is moving in your chest. The loneliness is here, yes. But so is the floor beneath you. So is the sound of the radiator. So is this moment, exactly as it is. The reaching begins to relax. Not because you filled the emptiness, but because you've stopped asking it to be full. You've stopped opening the cupboard. The ache might still be there, but the frantic searching quiets. The mind stops spinning in the same loop. And in that quietness, something else becomes possible. Not a solution, not a fix, just a different way of being with what's here. You can return to this question throughout the day, throughout the evening, whenever the loneliness rises. What am I reaching for right now? Not to judge the reaching, not to shame yourself for wanting, but to see it, to know it, to let it become visible. The reaching itself is not the enemy. It's just a pattern, a habit the mind has learned. And like any pattern, it can be seen. And in being seen, it begins to loosen. You don't have to believe this, you can test it. You can sit quietly and watch. You can notice the hand moving toward the cupboard. You can see it pause. That pause is enough. Chapter 4, Breath as Companion. You sit alone in the room and the silence feels heavy, not peaceful, heavy. The kind of silence that makes you reach for your phone or turn on music or find something, anything, to fill the space. We call this loneliness. But what we're really feeling is the absence of another person's presence. We've learned that presence means someone else, a voice, a face, movement in the room besides our own. The body knows something different. There is a Zen teaching that says, you are never alone. The breath has been with you since birth, not as poetry, as fact. Before you could speak, before you knew your own name, breath moved through you. In the hospital room, in the car seat on the way home, through every night of childhood when you woke afraid in the dark. Every morning you've opened your eyes. Every moment of this one, it has never left. Think of a faithful dog that follows you into every room without being called. You don't notice it most of the time. You walk to the kitchen and it walks with you. You sit down and it settles near your feet. You don't have to invite it. You don't have to earn its presence. It is simply there, steady and warm, asking nothing. The breath is like this. Right now, as you read these words, air is moving in, air is moving out. Your chest rises slightly, falls slightly. You didn't tell it to do this. You didn't schedule it or remember to start it this morning. It is happening, the way a dog's breathing happens when it sleeps beside you. We forget this because breath doesn't speak. It doesn't look at us. It doesn't ask how our day was. We've been taught that companionship requires exchange, words, attention, some kind of back and forth. But the body offers a different kind of presence, constant, quiet, undemanding. You can test this now. Breathe in and notice. Not a deep breath, not a special breath, just the next breath that comes. Notice where you feel it, chest, belly, nostrils, throat, somewhere. Breathe out and notice. The air leaving. The small release. The pause before the next breath begins. Do this 10 times. Count if it helps. 1 breath in, 1 breath out. That's 1. Then 2. Then 3. If you lose count, start over. If your mind wanders, that's fine. Come back. Breathe in, notice. Breathe out, notice. This is not a technique to master. This is meeting what has been here all along. You might notice the breath is shallow, or uneven, or that your chest feels tight. You might notice you've been holding tension in your shoulders without knowing it. You might notice the breath changes when you pay attention to it, becomes a little self-conscious, like a dog that realizes you're watching. All of this is fine. You're not trying to fix the breath. You're not trying to make it smooth or deep or calm. You're just noticing. The way you'd notice a dog's ears perk up when it hears something outside. After a few breaths, something shifts. Not always. Not dramatically. But sometimes. The breath stops being something you're doing and becomes something that's happening. With you. For you. Through you. You feel the rise and fall, and it's almost like someone else is in the room. Not a person. Not a voice, but a presence, steady, patient, completely without judgment. This is what the Zen teachers mean. You are never alone. Not because of belief, not because of faith, because the breath is here. It has always been here. When loneliness comes, it often comes with the story. The story says, no one is here. No one sees me. I am separate. I am by myself. The breath doesn't argue with the story. It doesn't tell you the story is wrong. It just keeps breathing. In, out, out. And if you notice it, even for 10 breaths, the story loosens. Not because you've defeated it, because you found something older than the story, something that was here before the story began. You can return to this any time, in the middle of the night, in a waiting room, on a long drive, in a moment when the silence feels too big. Breathe in, notice. Breathe out, notice. The companion is here. Chapter 05. Chapter 5. The Story of the Missing Other. You are sitting alone in your room. The light is soft, the air is still, and somewhere beneath the quiet, a small voice begins to speak. It says, something is missing, not the keys, not your phone, something else, someone else. The voice says, this moment would be better if they were here, if you could text them, if you could hear their voice, if you weren't so alone. And suddenly the room feels different. The stillness that was neutral becomes heavy. The silence that was simple becomes proof of something wrong. This is not a failing. This is a story we tell without knowing we are telling it. The story goes like this: I am incomplete. The moment is incomplete. There should be another person here to make this real. But what if that story is optional? In the Mahayana tradition, there is a teaching that all beings are interconnected, not metaphorically. Actually, the air you breathe was exhaled by trees. The water in your body has moved through rivers and clouds and the bodies of strangers. You are woven into everything that exists, and yet, right now, you are whole. Not because you have achieved something, Not because you have found the right person or the right circumstance. Whole, because wholeness is not something you acquire. It is what you are when the story stops. Imagine a tree standing alone on a hillside. It has no other trees nearby. The wind moves through its branches. Birds rest in its leaves. Roots reach down into the earth. And the tree believes it is incomplete. It believes it needs the forest. It needs the company of other trees to be a real tree, to be enough. But the tree is already rooted, already alive, already breathing with the world. The forest is real. Connection is real. But the belief that the tree cannot exist without the forest is something else. It is a story laid over the fact of the tree. You are like this. You are already rooted, already breathing, already part of the vast web of conditions that make this moment possible. And still the voice says, I need someone here. Notice that voice, not to fight it, not to shame it, just notice. When the thought arises, I need someone here, let it pass like a cloud. You do not have to believe it. You do not have to argue with it. You can watch it move through the sky of your mind and continue on its way. The thought is not the problem. The problem is when we mistake the thought for truth. When we let it tell us that the moment is broken, that we are broken, that aloneness is the same as loneliness. Aloneness is a fact. You are here. No one else is in the room. Loneliness is a story. It says, this fact is wrong. This fact is painful. This fact means something is missing. But what if nothing is missing? What if the moment is exactly what it is? Quiet, still, enough. And the sense of lack is just a cloud passing through. Sit for a moment, feel your breath, feel the weight of your body in the chair. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. This is the moment, not the idea of the moment, not the story about what the moment should include, just this: breath, body, presence. When the thought comes, I wish they were here, let it come. Do not push it away, do not cling to it. Let it arrive like weather, let it pass like weather, and return to breath, return to body, return to the simple fact of being here. You are not incomplete, you are not waiting to be filled. You are whole, and the story of the missing other is just that, a story. It will come again. The voice will return. That is fine. Stories are persistent, but each time you see it as a story and not as truth, something shifts. The room is still quiet. The light is still soft, but the heaviness begins to lift, not because someone arrived, because the story became optional. Chapter 06, Chapter 6, Silence Without Fear. You turn off the television. The room becomes too quiet. You reach for your phone. You sit in a car without the radio. The silence presses in. You turn the music back on. You wake in the middle of the night. The house is still. You feel something rising that you do not want to meet. This is common. Silence feels dangerous, not because it is loud, but because it is empty. And in that emptiness, we fear what might appear. We fill the space before we know what we're running from. In Zen practice, there is a simple instruction. Sit with silence. It will not harm you, not as a test of endurance, not as a way to prove strength. Just an invitation to stop adding noise to noise. The fear is not of silence itself. The fear is of what silence might reveal. A restless mind, an unresolved feeling, a question we have been avoiding. So we keep the sound on, we keep moving, we keep the room full. Imagine an empty room. You walk in and shout. The sound bounces back. You shout again. The echo returns. You shout louder, trying to fill the space. The room does not become less empty. It only becomes louder. Silence is like this. When we resist it, we create more noise inside. The resistance itself is the echo. But if you stop shouting, the room does not collapse, it simply rests, and you begin to hear what was always there beneath the noise. Your breath, the hum of the world, the small sounds you had been covering. The aversion to silence is not weakness, it is a habit. The mind has learned that silence means discomfort, so it reaches for distraction before the discomfort arrives. But discomfort in silence is not dangerous. It is just sensation. A tightness in the chest, a flutter of restlessness, a thought that will not settle. These things do not need to be fixed, they need to be seen. When you sit with silence, you are not trying to make it pleasant. You are learning that it does not need to be an enemy. The practice is small. Turn off all sound for 5 minutes. No music, no voices, no background hum. Sit somewhere comfortable. You do not need to close your eyes. You do not need to be still in any particular way. Just let the silence be. At first, the mind will reach. It will want to fill the space. It will offer thoughts, plans, memories, anything to avoid the quiet. Let it reach. Do not fight it. Notice the reaching. Notice the urge to turn something back on. Notice the discomfort without obeying it. This is not about forcing yourself to enjoy silence. It is about meeting it without panic. After a minute, you may notice that silence is not as empty as it seemed. There is the sound of your breathing, the creak of the floor, a car passing outside. Silence is not the absence of everything. It is the absence of distraction. And in that absence, the mind begins to settle. Not because you made it settle, because there is nothing left to chase. Some days, 5 minutes will feel long. Other days, it will feel like nothing. Both are fine. You are not trying to master silence. You are learning that it will not swallow you. The fear loses its grip when you stop feeding it. When you sit still and let the quiet be what it is. Loneliness often hides in silence. When the noise stops, we feel how alone we are, and that feeling can be sharp. But loneliness is not the same as aloneness. Loneliness is the story that aloneness is wrong, that it means something is missing, that we should not have to feel this way. Aloneness is just the condition of being one person in one body. It is not a problem to solve. When you sit in silence without filling it, you begin to see the difference. The loneliness softens. The aloneness remains, but it is no longer frightening. You do not need to love silence. You do not need to seek it out in all moments. But when it arrives, you can let it stay. You can sit with it without reaching for the nearest sound. Silence will not harm you. It will only show you what you have been avoiding. And once you see it, the fear begins to fade. Chapter 07, Chapter 7, Impermanence of Connection. You remember a conversation that felt perfect. The light was right, the words came easily. You felt seen, you felt close. Now that person lives elsewhere, or the friendship has changed, or they died, or you simply cannot reach that moment again. You return to it in memory. You compare today to then, and the present feels thin. This is not unusual. This is how we relate to connection. We hold it. We try to keep it exactly as it was. The Buddha observed something simple. All meetings end in parting. All gatherings disperse. This is not pessimism. This is not meant to discourage love. It is only what happens. People come into your life. You share a table, a conversation, a season. Then circumstances shift, someone moves, interests diverge, bodies age, priorities change. The connection was real, and it ended. Not because something went wrong, because all formed things are impermanent. We know this intellectually, but we do not live as if we know it. We act as though connection should stay fixed, as though closeness, once established, should remain available. When it changes, we feel betrayed by the person, by time, by life itself. But no one promised permanence. Think of footprints on the beach. You walk along wet sand, your steps leave clear impressions, you can see where you have been. Then the tide comes in, the water moves over the sand, the footprints disappear. The ocean does not erase them out of cruelty, it is simply doing what water does. It moves, it returns, it reshapes the shore. Your footprints were real, and they are gone. This is what happens to connection. Moments of closeness leave impressions. They shape you, they matter, and then they pass. Clinging to the footprint does not bring it back. Standing on the beach insisting the sand should hold your shape forever does not stop the tide. You can love the moment. You can be grateful it happened, and you can let it go. This is not coldness. This is not detachment in the sense of not caring. It is seeing clearly. When you cling to past connection, you are not honoring it. You are trying to make it into something it never was, a permanent thing. Connection arises, connection fades. This is its nature. If you resist this, you suffer, not because connection ended, but because you are fighting what is already true. There is a small practice you can try. Recall a moment of connection, something specific, a conversation, a shared silence, a time you felt close to someone. Let the memory come. Do not push it away. Feel what arises. Warmth maybe, sadness, longing. Now as you breathe out, let the memory go. Not forever, just for this breath. Breathe in. The memory may return, that is fine. Breathe out. Let it go again. You are not erasing the person. You are not diminishing what you shared. You are practicing release. This is what breath does naturally. It comes, it goes. You do not hold it. You cannot. Connection is the same. When you stop clinging, something shifts. The memory loses its sharp edge. It becomes softer. You can hold it lightly. You may notice that the ache of missing someone is not just about them. It is about your grip. The person is gone, or distant, or changed. That is painful. But the suffering, the tight, repetitive loop of wanting it to be different that comes from clinging. Impermanence is not cruel. It is simply true. The tide does not apologize. The seasons do not ask permission. Connections form and dissolve within the same current. You can meet someone tomorrow. You can feel close again. And that too will change. This is not a reason to withdraw. It is a reason to be present. When you know that this conversation will end, you listen differently. When you know this visit will not repeat exactly, you notice more. Impermanence does not make connection meaningless. It makes it vivid. You are not being asked to stop loving. You are being invited to stop demanding that love remain frozen. Let the footprints form. Let the tide come. Let the sand be smooth again. Nothing is lost that was ever truly yours. Chapter 08. Chapter 8. The body's quiet presence. You sit alone in a room and feel the urge to reach for your phone, or to stand up and walk somewhere, or to fill the silence with sound. The body becomes uncomfortable, restless. You want to be anywhere but here, in this skin, in this moment. This is how loneliness begins, not because no one is with you, but because you are not with yourself. The early teachings say the body is your first home, not a prison to escape, not a problem to solve, a home. The place you return to when the mind has wandered too far into wanting or avoiding or planning what comes next. Think of a house you leave unlocked while you wander the streets looking for shelter. You pass door after door, hoping someone will let you in. You forget you already have a place. The lights are on, the door is open, but you keep walking. This is what happens when you abandon the body. You search for company outside while ignoring the one presence that never leaves. Your breath, your weight, your hands resting wherever they rest. The body does not ask you to be different. It does not require you to feel calm or centered or at peace. It simply asks you to notice it is here. Feel your feet on the floor, not as an idea, as sensation, pressure, temperature, the slight shift of weight from heel to toe. You do not need to change anything, just feel. Feel your back against the chair, the contact points, the support, the body already holding itself without your effort or instruction. Feel your hands, resting on your lap or the armrest or your knees, warm or cool, still or fidgeting. Let them be as they are. This is not a technique to make loneliness disappear. It is a way to stop abandoning yourself in the search for something else. When you feel your feet, you are here. When you feel your breath, you are home. The body becomes a place to return to, not a place to escape from. Loneliness often comes when the mind tells you this moment is not enough, that you should be somewhere else, with someone else, doing something else. The body does not argue with this story, it simply continues. Breathing, sensing, present. You can return to it any time. In the middle of a conversation, while walking down the street. When you wake at night and the room feels too quiet, the body is still here, still breathing, still offering you a place to land. This is not about being alone forever. It is about learning you are not abandoned when no one else is in the room. The body is company, quiet company. It does not entertain you. It does not distract you. It simply remains. Sit for a moment now. Feel the weight of your body in the chair, the rise and fall of your chest, the air moving in and out. You do not need to do this perfectly. You do not need to feel peaceful. Just notice, just return. The body is your first home. You have never left it. But you can stop wandering the streets. You can stop searching for shelter in places that cannot hold you. The door is open. The lights are on. You are already here. Chapter 09. Chapter 9. Compassion for the lonely self. You sit alone in your room. The silence feels heavy. You notice the thought, I shouldn't feel this way. Then another, what's wrong with me? This is how loneliness becomes something more than loneliness. The original ache, the simple fact of being alone, meets a second layer. Judgment. Shame. The voice that says you're failing at something basic. You are now alone with your loneliness and also at war with it. The Mahayana tradition offers a different response. It says, meet your pain as you would meet a frightened child. Not with solutions, not with correction, with presence. A frightened child doesn't need to be told they're overreacting. They need to know someone sees them. Someone stays. You can be that presence for yourself. Place your hand on your heart. Feel the warmth of your palm against your chest. Say silently, this is hard, and I am here. Not, I will fix this. Not, I will fix this. Not, I shouldn't feel this way. I should. This is hard, and I am here. The words are simple. They acknowledge two things at once. Yes, there is pain. And yes, there is also awareness, steady, present, not going anywhere. This is the beginning of self-compassion, not as a concept, as a felt shift. Think of a candle lighting another candle. The first flame doesn't diminish when it touches the wick of the second. It remains whole. Two lights now exist where there was one. Compassion works this way. When you turn toward your own loneliness with kindness, you are not splitting yourself in two. You are not the judge and the judged. You are awareness meeting experience. One thing touching another without loss. The loneliness doesn't disappear. But something changes in how you hold it. You might notice the chest feels tight, the throat feels closed, there's a heaviness behind the eyes. These are not problems to solve, they are the body's honest response to being alone. When you place your hand on your heart and say, this is hard, and I am here, you are doing something radical. You are choosing not to abandon yourself. Most of us learned early that certain feelings are unacceptable. Loneliness often falls into this category. We think other people manage. Why can't I? But loneliness is not a personal failure. It is part of being human. We are social creatures living in a world where connection is fragile and impermanent. Of course, we feel its absence. The teaching doesn't ask you to like loneliness. It asks you to stop fighting it. Place your hand on your heart again. Feel the rise and fall of breath beneath your palm. Notice the warmth, the steady rhythm. Say silently, "This is hard, and I am here." Let the words be soft. Let them land without effort. You may feel resistance. A voice that says, "This is silly or selfish or won't work." That's fine. The voice can be there too. You don't have to argue with it. Just return to the hand on your heart. Return to the breath. Return to the simple fact you are here and you are willing to stay. This is not about feeling better immediately. It's about changing your relationship to what you feel. When you meet loneliness with compassion instead of judgment, the loneliness itself begins to soften. Not because you've done anything to it, but because you've stopped adding the second layer, the layer that says you're wrong for feeling this way. The candle lights another candle. Your awareness touches your pain. Nothing is lost. Something new is present. You are alone, yes. And you are also here breathing, aware, kind. Chapter 10. Chapter 10. Equanimity in Empty Hours. You wake on a Saturday morning with nothing planned. The hours stretch ahead. For a moment there is ease. Then something tightens. You reach for your phone. You scroll. You text someone who may not answer. You consider errands you don't need to run. The quiet has become uncomfortable. This is not about being introverted or extroverted. This is about the way we relate to aloneness itself. When company is here, we sometimes wish for space. When space arrives, we fill it quickly. We move between grasping and fleeing, rarely resting in what is. The Buddha observed this pattern. He saw students who clung to the safety of the group. He saw others who fled into isolation, calling it freedom. He pointed to a third way. Neither clinging to company nor fleeing solitude, the mind rests easy. This is equanimity. Not indifference, not preference, not preference. A steadiness that meets both states without leaning. Think of the sky. It holds the brightness of noon without strain. It holds the depth of night without resistance. The sky does not prefer one over the other. It is spacious enough for both. Your awareness can be like this. When you are alone and the restlessness comes, notice it. The urge to text, the impulse to turn on a screen, the small panic that says this emptiness is wrong. These are not failures. They are simply movements of mind. You don't have to follow them. Sit still for a moment. Feel your breath. Notice the room around you, the light, the temperature. The sounds that come and go without your doing anything. You are here. That is enough. The loneliness you feel is not the same as being alone. Loneliness is a story about what should be different. It says you are missing something essential. It says this moment is incomplete. But when you look directly at the experience, what do you find? A body breathing, thoughts arriving and leaving. Sensations shifting. The present moment, exactly as it is. Nothing is missing. You have simply been taught to believe it is. This does not mean you should avoid people. Connection is real. Warmth is real. But when you grasp for it to escape the discomfort of your own presence, the connection becomes thin. You are using others to fill a gap that was never there. Equanimity asks you to stop running. When you are with others, be with others. When you are alone, be alone. Meet each state with the same quiet steadiness. No preference, no resistance. The practice is simple. When the urge to distract yourself arises, pause. Feel the sensation in your chest or your hands. Notice the thought that says you need to do something. Then return to your breath. Return to the room. Return to what is. You are not fixing loneliness. You are seeing through it. Over time, something shifts. The empty hours lose their charge. You stop dividing time into good hours and bad hours. Solitude becomes restful. Company becomes restful. Both are just weather passing through the sky of your awareness. You are no longer grasping. You are no longer fleeing. The mind rests easy. Chapter 11. Chapter 11. Listening to what is here. When you are alone, the silence can feel too large. You reach for your phone. You turn on music. You start a conversation in your head with someone who is not there. The space feels empty, and you fill it. But what if the space is not empty? What if something is already here, and you've been covering it? There is a Zen saying about the sound of one hand. It is not a riddle to solve. It is an invitation to listen. The sound of one hand is the sound of this moment, unadorned. It is what is here when you stop adding. A bird sings in the morning. It does not check if anyone is listening. It does not wait for applause. It sings because that is what the moment asks. The song is complete, whether you hear it or not. Your presence is like that. It does not need an audience to be whole. Close your eyes. Listen to the farthest sound you can hear, not the loudest sound, the farthest. Maybe it is traffic in the distance. Maybe it is wind moving through trees. Maybe it is the hum of a refrigerator in another room. Let your attention rest there. You do not need to name it. You do not need to like it or dislike it. Just let it arrive. Now listen to the sound closest to you. Your breath, the small creak of your chair, the rustle of fabric. These sounds have been here the whole time. You were not absent. The world was not absent. You were just listening to your thoughts instead. Loneliness is often the feeling that no one is here. But when you listen, you notice the world is here. The air touches your skin, the floor holds your weight, sound moves through the room. These are not grand gestures. They are quiet company. You do not need to fill the silence. The silence is already full. It is full of breath, full of sensation, full of the small sounds that make up a life. When you stop covering them, they become clear. This is not about being good at listening. It is not about achieving stillness. Some moments your mind will wander. Some moments the loneliness will return. That is fine. You are not trying to make the loneliness go away. You are learning to notice what else is here. The bird does not sing to fix anything. It sings because the morning is here. You do not listen to fix anything. You listen because this moment is here. Close your eyes again. Listen to the farthest sound. Let it be as it is. Now listen to what is closer. Let that be as it is too. You are not alone in the silence. You are here with everything that is. Chapter 12. Chapter 12. Returning without arrival. You have been looking for something. Maybe you call it peace. Maybe you call it home. Maybe you don't have a name for it, but you feel its absence when you sit alone in a quiet room and the silence feels too wide. There is a restlessness that comes with solitude, not always, but sometimes. A sense that you should be somewhere else, doing something else, becoming someone else. The present moment feels like a waiting room. You sit in it, but you are not really there. You are leaning forward into what comes next. This is the nature of seeking. It pulls you out of where you are. The early teachings say something simple. There is nowhere to go. You have always been here. Not here as in this room or this chair. Here as in this breath, this sensation, this moment of awareness that is already present before you try to find it. The traveler walks a long road. Days pass. The landscape changes. Mountains give way to plains. Rivers cross the path. The traveler keeps moving because the destination is always ahead, always just beyond the next hill. Then one evening, the traveler stops, not because the journey is over, but because something shifts. The road beneath the feet is the same road that was always there. The sky overhead is the same sky. The breath moving in and out is the same breath that accompanied every step. The destination was never separate from the path. You can sit quietly now, right where you are. You don't need to prepare for this. You don't need to be calm first or clear first or ready first. Just sit. Notice the breath. It is already breathing. You don't have to make it happen. It moves in. It moves out. There is a small pause between breaths, and then it begins again. Notice the body. It is already here. The weight of it against the chair or the floor, the temperature of the air on your skin, the small movements that happen without effort, the rise and fall of the chest, the settling of the shoulders. Notice awareness itself. It is already present. You are already aware of these words, of the room around you, of the fact that you are sitting here. Awareness is not something you achieve, it is what you are. This is what it means to return without arrival. You are not traveling toward awareness. You are resting in it. Loneliness often comes from the belief that you are not enough as you are. That something is missing. That solitude is a gap to be filled. But when you sit and notice what is already here, the gap begins to close. Not because you have added anything, but because you stop subtracting yourself from the moment. The breath is enough. The body is enough. The simple fact of being aware is enough. You are not waiting for peace to arrive. You are noticing the peace that is already present when you stop running toward it. This does not mean you will never feel lonely again. Feelings come and go. They are part of the weather of the mind. But you begin to see that loneliness is not a problem to solve. It is a sensation that arises and passes like all sensations. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to fill it. You can let it be there. And you can also notice that beneath it, awareness remains steady. The traveler does not throw away the map. The traveler simply stops mistaking the map for the territory. The path is real. The steps are real. But the idea that you are far from home, that is the illusion. You are already here. Sit a little longer. Let the breath move. Let the body rest. Let awareness hold it all without grasping. There is nowhere else to be. Closing. So we return here, not to a conclusion, not to mastery, just to this breath, this moment, this body sitting or lying in space. You spent this time learning to be with yourself, not as a project to complete, but as a companion you're getting to know, someone who changes, someone who feels, someone who doesn't need to be fixed. The practice of being alone without loneliness isn't something you achieve once and carry forward like a certificate. It's more like learning to tune an instrument. You do it again and again. The string goes slack. You notice. You adjust. Some days solitude will feel easy, spacious. The room around you breathes. Your thoughts move like clouds, visible but not heavy. Other days loneliness will return, sharp or dull, familiar. And that's not failure. That's just weather. You don't shame the sky for raining. What changes is how you meet it. You practice noticing the difference between being alone and the story of aloneness. You've touched the quiet truth that loneliness is a visitor, not your identity. You've learned that the ache of wanting connection doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you're human, wired for warmth, and that wiring is tender. And you've begun to see that solitude, when met with awareness, can become a kind of friendship. Not the friendship that texts you back, not the friendship that fills the silence with noise, but the friendship of presence, of not abandoning yourself when things get hard. Impermanence runs through all of this. The loneliness you feel today will shift. The peace you touch in one moment won't stay forever. The people you love will change. You will change. And this isn't something to fear. It's the texture of being alive. Impermanence is what makes solitude bearable. Because if loneliness were permanent, it would crush you. But it isn't. It arrives, it stays for a while, and it dissolves. Just like joy. just like clarity, just like the breath. When you see this not as philosophy, but as direct experience, you stop clinging so tightly. You stop demanding that aloneness feel a certain way. You let it be what it is in this moment without needing it to last or leave. And in that softness, something quiet opens. You begin to trust that you can be with yourself, not because you become someone different, not because you've transcended loneliness, but because you've practiced, you've returned, you've sat with the ache and the ease, the noise and the stillness, and you haven't turned away. That's enough. This practice doesn't end when the video ends. It continues in the morning when you wake up alone and feel the pull to reach for your phone. It continues in the evening when the silence gets loud. It continues in the moments when you catch yourself narrating your aloneness as evidence of something broken. You pause, you breathe, you notice, you return, again and again, not because you have to, because you can. There's a kind of gratitude that grows from this, not the loud kind, not the kind you perform, but a quiet thankfulness for your own presence, for the body that breathes, for the mind that notices, for the heart that feels even when it aches. You are here. That's no small thing. And if you stayed with this practice tonight, if you've let these words settle into the quiet spaces, thank you for listening, for sitting, for being willing to be alone with yourself, even when it's hard. The path continues, not toward perfection, toward presence. If you'd like, there are other videos here on working with difficult emotions, on the practice of letting go, on finding steadiness when everything shifts, no pressure. They'll be here when you need them. For now, let yourself rest. Let the breath move on its own. Let the thoughts settle or swirl, it doesn't matter. Let the night hold you, or the day, or whatever this moment is. You don't have to be anywhere else. You don't have to be anyone else. Just this, just here, breathing, alone but not lonely, present.